Happy New Year to everyone. So glad we can be here.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. And Laura, you're in LA right now?
I am.
How's
Nice.
that?
LA.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, it's great. It's got a palm tree in the backyard. It's wonderful.
Nice.
Awesome.
I heard they're replanting them for the Olympics.
Yes, there's a big effort to replant. They're not local, they're not native
Right.
to California. So it's weird. It's like such a symbol of California, but they're an invasive species.
Yeah. Kind of like me.
What's
How
the
long are you
plan
in
with-
town?
Oh, yeah,
Are you
go
visiting
ahead.
or you live here?
No, I moved here. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Has it been a while?
Thanks. No, it's not that long. Since
Okay.
like September.
Welcome. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
From the Lone Star State.
Correct.
Amazing.
Yeehaw.
Love
Yeehaw.
Texas.
Do you?
Well, I
I
guess
love Texas too, but it's complicated, right?
it's complicated. I guess I get a very narrow perspective on the population of Texas because it's just like the shows I feel like are all really great in Texas. But the people coming to my shows are probably the majority of the people I am trying to hang out with in Texas.
Totally. Yeah. No, a lot of great people in Texas. And
Yes.
also a lot of I don't know, what are the rules of the pod? Lay down some groundwork for
Well,
me.
if there
What
really
can I
are
say?
rules.
What can I say?
You can kind of just let it rip, and if there's anything you wish to take back, you are allowed to.
Well,
True.
great. Allie, let it rip is my 2025 motto.
I like that.
Yeah.
I feel like we
Oh
got a
my
preview of
God.
that when I was on tour with you this past summer. Like, I feel like I heard you say that a couple times. Let it rip.
I mean, it's a pretty common saying, but
Yeah.
Do you do
And
like a yearly like theme?
yeah, like I always try and do like a slogan or a motto. Nothing where I'm like, oh, I have to write down resolutions or hold myself accountable. It's more like, what can I apply as a wee bit of advice to myself in any given moment, and also not be so disciplined about it. Like, let it rip. I could just like be crying one day and be like, let it rip, you know? And it's
Yeah.
fine. And it's all good. Yeah. So if y'all want to think about yours, feel free.
I kind of have a similar thing, which is just like to not get bogged down, which is very
Mhm.
vague, right? But it could mean anything from like focusing too much on the outcome of a social media post,
Yeah.
but also like out in the world, just trying not to let the sadness overwhelm me into like not doing anything about it,
Mhm.
and just being like kind of paralyzed by just like a crippling sense of dread. I'm really going to try this year to push forward and see what I can do about it, because I think the weight can be heavy, and that's okay too. Let it
That's
I like
let
that.
it rip on through.
So
Avoid the
good.
bog.
Yeah, rip through
Float
the
above
bog.
the bog. Rip
Yeah.
through the bog. Rip
through
the bog.
Tear it.
That's rock and roll, baby.
It's getting interdimensional. I love that. I have a big ritual of yearly like goal setting, kind of like value reassessment that I do like around this time every year, and I also sort of like try and have a theme. And I haven't like
Amazing.
super locked mine in, but I think it's like basically like a year of taking time, and I just mean to like say that I think I've like really done everything on hyperspeed, and I'm starting to feel like it's negatively affecting like my work or like my happiness or whatever, and maybe just like putting a little more like dedicated, concentrated time and letting things take a while if they need to is kind of the like I don't know how to condense that yet until
Let it simmer.
let it simmer. I love that.
Let it simmer. 2025. Okay.
I love it.
Good. All right. I'm glad we all know our paths right now.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous, Sarah, of your ability to visit the beach and do your resolutions.
You've got a
Right.
beach?
I know, but it's not the same.
Rockaway?
Like,
Can we call it?
yeah, it is, but
Technically.
it's so cold, and there's like 31-degree wind gusts today.
Yeah.
So you get
Oh my God.
trash in your eye, and yeah.
Yeah.
I was like running yesterday, like
awful.
day one of the year.
Damn.
And I just like turned a corner on a sidewalk, and there was like this small, like a pebble that just came flying at my eye, and it hit like my eyebrow bone and just like kind of ricocheted down. But I was just so grateful that it wasn't like a couple centimeters south of that. I feel like it really could have fucked me up. So
Pebble in the wind.
yeah. So
Wow.
anyways,
That's so scary.
Anything for a run.
Yeah,
You're a
right?
dedicated runner, and I love that about you. Can't do it.
Do you count miles or time?
Kind of both, but I think time is more important to me just because I'm just trying to get outside. And before I ever had any sort of medication for depression, I think like running was like the only thing that like was a surefire ticket to at least something else mentally, just like a different vibe, so I could kind of get out of the doom and gloom. I feel like I've brought my depression up on like literally every single episode we've had of this show, but it's been
Real.
such a big thing in my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just something I could kind of like slingshot myself out of the sadness with, but it didn't always last. Obviously you don't want that to be your only, like, it's not feasible all the time. Like you can't be like in a meeting and be like, 1 sec, gotta go run. So yeah, grateful for modern medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and music probably.
Yeah, definitely. That's always been there. But speaking of music, we wanted to talk about your song $41, which is, I think, one of the newest Sunjun songs that's come out, right? About 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
So I
Yay.
had the privilege of hearing this song on tour over the summer, and you guys were playing it then. But do you want to just
That's
tell me a little bit about like how the song came to be and what were the like writing inspirations for you?
Yeah. It was a long time ago that song was kind of starting out, and I think we were writing it 2020, so pandemic times, spending a lot of time, one-on-one with yourself.
Mm,
Good times. Good
Yes.
times.
overrated.
It is overrated. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. I don't know. I write with Steven, who is not touring with us anymore. And it kind of began during that time period where he went to start his PhD program in North Carolina. And I was still like the liaison between him and the band and me writing and then like coming together. I remember part of what we talked about with the song, and it was just like this inspiration drawn from listening and being talked at, which I feel like, I don't know, you can like feel how you feel about men, I guess, in the world, but the toxicity of just like someone always yammering on, and you're just like, you want to be present, you want to be polite, but then like part of that brain shuts off sometimes and you're just thinking about your own shit and you tune them out. And yeah, I feel like a lot of it was just about processing how present you are in any given moment with another human.
Laura, have
So
your
less
friends
about being alone, more about how you are around others.
Sure. Have your friends from Texas generally been like longer winded than your friends from elsewhere?
What an interesting question.
I don't mean that in a pointed way. I'm just trying to get a sense for the lay of the land.
Yeah.
We're city folk, okay? We get to the
No,
point.
I think city folk love to talk.
Yeah, it's true.
I think,
Especially here in LA.
for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe some people, I feel like there's a laziness about at least Austin where people aren't as long-winded as maybe like, my Philly folks or my New Yorkers, but it's particular with like not necessarily the region, more the man of it all.
The
I'm a
man of it
gender
all.
it. It's
Man.
Yeah.
it's a gendered thing, and I don't know how else to say it. It's a role.
Well,
It's a
I think
societal role.
it really is like, as women, I think like we are often socialized to really not take up a lot of space and let like be polite and like sort of like let someone else or someone, if someone is demanding the space, to like sort of be like, okay, and back off, as opposed to like, I think generally a man has been socialized to like feel ownership over like the spaces and the conversations that they're a part of.
Totally. I think we've all experienced this. Yeah. And I don't know. I think generally, like, we surround ourselves with people who aren't like that. But, I'm friends with a lot of different people. I think, especially like the educational folks, like the academic people who just have really interesting things to say, but sometimes they don't know how to like listen, like turn the valve off, and it's just
Totally.
can't get a word in. Can't get a word in.
Well, and also I think we're put in a lot of spots where like the best, like it's in our best interest to be friendly and be cool. And like, we're often in cities we're not from.
Hmm.
And maybe like, I think survival is maybe a dramatic way to say it, but like just to be like, yeah, man, like
Right
spit on
on.
it. Like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be here and be safe and not cause a problem and like do my show.
Right.
So glad you're here.
Oh my gosh. Yep. That's totally it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, sometimes it's just faster to just be like, yeah,
Yeah,
because then
exactly.
that it ends there, hopefully, if it needs to. But
Yeah.
So you're
yeah.
writing from like a place of like personal experience on this song. There's no fiction.
There's some fiction, certainly. $41, total fiction. Losing it on a
Okay.
gambling thing. Yeah,
Cool.
not real.
That was
Uh,
my first question. Like, what was the bad bet in Kansas
no,
City?
yeah. Someone from Kansas City reached out to me on Instagram, was like, love the Kansas City shout out. And I was like, yeah, dog, Kansas City rules.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? And I was like, should I make something up? Do you ever
Yeah.
find yourself just making up stories
I like that.
to
Yeah.
Of course.
to add to the lore, your own lore that you're creating of your own
Oh, yeah.
music?
Definitely.
Very cool.
It's fun. It's fun. But I do enjoy fictionalizing, a point of view and a character for a song. I feel like that, you're taking your emotional experiences and you're putting it into maybe another person's point of view, often a stronger person than myself, or sometimes it's me. I think Steve and I are both like people who tend to laugh at a lot of situations, but also laugh at ourselves and kind of feel a little like, small in the grand scheme of things.
How long have
And
y'all been writing together?
that's a good question, because I have to maybe think about that. Since like 2015, I want to say.
10 years this year.
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years. I think it's been that long. Maybe there's an extra year in there somewhere. I can't recall. We met, we decided we both liked music. We wanted to start a little band because that's what you do in Austin, especially. It's like everyone has a band. And then we got some like friends to let us play in their living room. Yeah, eventually other people joined, which is great because I'm not like when I came out here, I was like talking to someone yesterday about this, and they're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, I don't know. I have like a little indie band in Austin, but I'm here." And they're like, "Oh, so you're going solo?" And I was like, "No,
God.
I could never. Would I nor would I want to. I think like having a band is the right pocket for like who I am, and I just love being on a team. Like even working in film, I am always like, on a team, on a post-production team. Not directing, you know?
Yeah, no, you're
I can
such a good.
steer it,
Yeah.
but
I've seen firsthand, like, we've toured twice together before in like 2 years and spending like weeks at a time sometimes. And I've just seen you lead a band so well, a group of people, and let everybody kind of like lean on you when they need to individually, which is a lot of work. But also, I never felt like this is like the Laura show, which is just a cool vibe when that works out that way. Um,
well,
yeah.
thank you. That's very sweet of you to notice. I think everyone in the band is also just incredibly like conscientious and caring for one another. Like everyone's aware of each other. And maybe we don't all know like exactly what's going on in our lives in a given moment, but we know, and like we have like the tells of someone who maybe needs space for a minute, or like, or wants or needs someone to just have goof around with and have fun.
Whoa.
And that's how you keep a tour going.
That is so true.
And then
So
you
crucial.
cry in the back of the van when you
Yeah.
need to.
Damn.
That's my favorite.
The silent back of the van. One tear.
But a lot of that comes from you having known each other for a long time, right? I mean, you guys seem
Yeah,
like pretty tight.
there's a lot of comfort there, but also like, we've had a few outfit changes. Our bassist, who was in the band for a long time, recently stepped down, and so we had like one last tour with him in January, and then all the rest of the tours was a brand new bass player.
Trevor.
And sometimes, Trevor, who's the best. Honestly, the sweetest human I've ever met in my
Trevor
life.
Dowdy.
Trevor Dowdy, high school sweetheart. That's his
What?
musical project, not mine.
It's like,
Yeah, I
oh
was
my
like,
god.
oh, you learn
Oh,
something
that
every
would be
time.
crazy.
That is band lore.
Yeah. I don't know, but there are bands out there who've known each other since high school. which is crazy.
Yeah, I always
It
get
is
jealous of those bands.
Yeah,
Radiohead,
yeah, exactly.
looking at you,
But they all
Radiohead.
hate each other, right? Like they must. They got traumas. They're trauma bonded.
You
They're
got a
on
good
separate
thing.
days flying to
Yeah.
the gig.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, y'all got a good thing going in Sunjun. And I also noticed that when I went to listen to this song on the Spooderflues, there was also a Porches remix of a
Mm-hmm.
different song, Easy, what is it called? Easy Violence.
Yes.
Um,
Correct.
can I ask about that and just like how that came to be?
Yeah, it's kind of a boring answer, but the result like was just so amazing. I was so
Yeah.
excited to yeah, have him work on one of our songs because I'm a big fan. Steven's a big fan, so it was kind of like a little dream come true. But I think he's just been doing this. Anyone who's like, "Hey, do you want to remix my song?" He's like, "Sure." And I'm like, he was in the middle of his own new record campaign and like being on tour and just like, I don't know. It's people, certain people in this world who I admire can operate on a level that I just can't, and just like going hard all the time. But maybe he needs to let it simmer a little.
Could be.
Just saying,
Yeah.
simmer.
This is a call out.
No, yeah, like we've never had a song go so hard as that
Right.
remix does. Just like double kick pedals and
Yeah, did you have a
so
conversation at
fun.
all about that? I was wondering, like, about just like the vibe, or was it just like do your thing?
Do your thing. And I think you hear a similar style of remix that he does like on other songs.
Yes.
So I think we kind of knew what we were getting into, which was good. Yeah, it was really fun. And it's just funny that he didn't keep any of the other tracks other than my voice. That's
Sick.
I think that just like made us laugh a lot.
That's like OG dance remix.
Yes,
style.
totally. Which
Yeah.
I'm a 90s kid. Love that shit.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's so sick.
Yeah. So, I don't know, you just reach out and you ask and people sometimes say yes, and that's nice.
Absolutely. He's so good at what he does.
It really is.
I had a question about the recording of this and just kind of like the Sunjun recording process in general, because it does sound so warm and live and like, like holistic in this sort of like band in a room way, which I think is like kind of tricky to capture and like often only happens with like maybe a band where you have known each other for that long and been working together that long. I guess I'm curious like what the recording process is and if it is, if it is like y'all just sitting down and making it happen or like, how
Yeah. Yeah, and I love talking about recording processes because it's like yeah, you hear a different result than maybe what you're capturing because none of us were in the same room and in totally different cities in like most of the time, a bedroom of our own or an office space. Like no real big professional settings for this one other than when Dan Kaczynski mixed it, who's in Loma and has his own projects. But yeah, I think like what we were trying to capture was that warmth. When we first started as a band, we played live a lot and didn't record really much. And then our first record, we did everything live to tape. And it was like such a crazy process to do that. But it was also really fun. And I think that just like that set the standard kind of for like maybe a universe for us to live in. Even if we departed from that on like the second record more and adding more synths and stuff like that. We just really wanted for it to feel. We wanted I think it always starts with like how do you want your drums to sound in the mix? And just like I wanted lush. I wanted like soft, kind of buried, but like spacious. And yeah, it's also funny because I think like in the guitar world, we really love like that kind of early news rhythm. And part of this was like we had given a note about wanting the mix to be like if Tom Petty produced a Fleetwood Mac song. We thought it was a fun prompt to try and achieve something in that world. But yeah, like so Sarah, our drummer, his name is also Sarah. She's like the audio engineer of us all because she studied that in school. So boy does she love when, sound engineers are asking her to play louder. It just really hits her right in the heart hole. But she recorded like all her drumming in her little office, like in her house, but like it was captured so well that like the mix could just happen. I don't know. It's funny to record remotely and then send each other notes and be like, okay, let's like add more tambourine. You want to try that? And like you will always get pushback on certain things. Like you know where someone's limit is, and tambourine is one of them with Sarah. Not her favorite instrument.
Ugh.
But sometimes you just, the song is kind of begging for it and you want a little extra shake, shimmer.
Little
Absolutely.
ching.
I'm famously a
Ching.
tambourine lover.
I think
I'm
it's great.
obsessed.
Yeah.
I love tambourine.
I'm glad we all agree. It's great. And then so we didn't have a bassist. So then that was kind of funny.
Mhm.
Trevor couldn't really do it because he was like traveling at the time, and we had like a week to kind of turn it around. We were playing it a little on tour, but no one in the band had ever heard it really or played it, so that was kind of funny. Everything starts as like a demo, and then we went to the band. So then, yeah, we had our buddy over in Ireland, Dom. You know
Ah,
Dom and I?
I love
No.
Dom. Oh my goodness.
The best.
You and Dom would really be our kindred spirits in a way.
Yes. He laid down on the bass and then got real funky with it at the end. I was kind of like editing little parts that I liked and like
That's so cool.
creating a new bass line with that. That was really fun. That dude's just amazing. Incredible
Do you make
musician.
the demos yourself, like on your computer, and then you kind of send it out and be like, now redo these drums in your own way? Or like, is it just like guitar and vocal for you?
Mostly it's guitar and vocal. We have like all of Sarah's drumming sampled when we first started working with Danny Reich at Good Danny's. Like we did a bunch of sampling, and then we also got some other drum samples from him that he just had in the library. So we do like to like kind of build some stuff, but yeah, Sarah really took that one upon herself. I remember when we first were trying the demo, it was going to maybe be on the last record and it didn't make it, but we had only sent it to her, I think. And she just like was using all the samples and making her own tracks. Like she didn't even record it live. And that had like a fun kind of lean to it because it felt a little more like tight, like a proper pop song.
Yeah.
And then we were like, I gotta get a little more swing, you know?
I'm trying to get that sample pack, that Sunjin sample pack,
Drop the
stocking stuffer.
sample.
Yeah, should we make one of those?
Stocking
20%
stuffer.
off with code
Yeah.
Song Dive.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we'll get one together for you.
Really, because I love the sounds of all your records. Like I know I've gone on like to you about this, Laura, like in private, so I feel like I'm not gonna do it so much right now, but just like the quality of y'all's recordings over the years has just been so beautiful, and it's really like just made space to showcase what a great players you have in the band and how you guys all play together. And you also sound so good live that it's sometimes just like a 1-for-1 feeling, like between the record and seeing you live. And that's, I don't know, I think really hard to do. And not many bands can really pull that off in such a seamless way that y'all do. So kudos.
That's interesting. I never feel like we sound anything like the record, but I also, I don't know. I like that we don't sometimes.
Sure.
I also got to give a shout out to Michael Bain, our guitarist, who just like writes every delicious riff. Yeah. Steven writes the bling blong riffs where it's like one note. That's kind of like all I can do too. That's part of my Let It Rip.
Bling blong.
2025, just bling blonging. But like Michael's like, he's the Texan too, like of the band.
Sure.
And he's got that dusty, devilish kind of vibe. Like it's good. It's real good. It's real loosey goosey. He's got the sauce.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Texas hot
I have to give him a look, on stage because he's getting a little too saucy. But,
wow. Well, that's so interesting for me to hear because I did feel like there is a really like a setting. There's like it feels like a physical place in that recording, and so it's so interesting to hear that like literally nothing is in the same physical place, which is like modern miracle of technology.
It is a modern miracle. I love that about it. It gives me hope for like whatever the future is for us in this next year of recording, because also like, not to get too personal, but Steven and I were in a very long relationship while writing all these songs. And now we're in a place where we're not together, but still trying to write together. So that's gonna be fun.
Wow.
Real Fleetwood Mac vibes.
That is like,
Exactly.
yeah, talk about Fleetwood Mac. I mean, that's like, wow, that is
We'll
so
see how it
interesting.
goes.
Maintaining that creative relationship, like above a personal relationship, is so interesting to me because I mean that seems to be like the story of like so many bands over time, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Were you, well, I guess I don't need to get too much into your personal life, but did you start the band before you started the relationship?
Yes. So I
Okay.
think that helps guide like the overall goal of just like being like, what's the most important thing here? It's like our creative relationship is how it started.
Wow, that is so interesting.
Doesn't mean it's not tricky, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. Yeah, I mean, you know, we're all
but
human.
yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Mick
Most of
Fleetwood
us.
maybe not, but
Not
the
human
rest of us,
for
yes.
sure. He's got some suit on. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what he is.
Wow.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah. What have been your like inspirations for this next batch of songs that it sounds like you've been cooking up or starting to cook up, preheating the oven for?
It's a good question.
And it's okay if like you don't want to talk about that.
There's never like, I guess I should say we've never really focused on one main source of inspiration. I feel like a lot of our songs they might be surrounding an emotion or a feeling, but like all the settings and all of the little flavors in there, all the spices are like, kind of like these little trapdoors of memory. And that sounds so cheesy as I listen back to what I just said, but
No.
it's like it is. It's like all these little scenes that just kind of compile a feeling, and sometimes they're rooted in a moment that is happening like as I'm writing it, but a lot of the time it's like really a sliver of whatever the song is, and the rest is the history of it all. I don't know, so I can't say exactly what is inspiring me these days, but probably displacement and like being in a new city. I
Yeah.
am like still processing where we are as a nation.
Yeah.
and,
It's
Oh my God.
and all
crazy.
that, so but
So
I don't
buckle
want it.
up.
Yeah, buckle up, baby.
Yeah.
Buckle up 2025 is also a good motto.
I love Buckle Up.
You're ready for anything. I am doing like a little songwriting workshop right now that I've never done anything like that, where you're just like given prompts, and then I guess we've done it once before with this thing called Song Confessional. We wrote this song called Terrified, and it's like about this woman's story of being on tour and like having children and just like the complex emotions of being a parent as well. But yeah, this is fun. It's like Ali Levy of Italia.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So this is a workshop she puts on. I don't know how many she's done, but it just started yesterday, and it's wild. So it's like every 3 days, I'm writing a new song and recording it,
Whoa.
and giving it to them, and like however done it is, which is like a big challenge for me because I am a little bit of a perfectionist when demoing, and I get really in my head, and another reason why I gotta let it rip.
Yeah.
Let it rip. The perfect reason to let it rip.
Don't get in my head, because I love to do that. And I gotta like let go of this idea that like I'm ever gonna write a different song than I'm writing.
Whoa.
Say more.
Go on.
That I can't force something, that I have to really just let it flow, and like no judgments. I sometimes I'll like get caught up in, oh, this sounds like something else I've heard, or it sound but I have to learn that that's okay. Yeah. And enjoy that I'm maybe channeling something that I already like, and I'm staying in on my side of the street, as they say.
Mm.
It's like it's fun. I'm also reading some books that are helping me kind of meditate on those ideas, and how I've gained my taste over the years, and
What book?
not having any judgments about it. Okay, I brought them in here just
Amazing.
so I didn't get
Yeah.
them wrong. So this is what it sounds like.
Oh.
Have you read this?
Well, yeah. I took a
It's
lot
so
of
good.
classes from Susan
You
in college.
did?
Yeah.
You lucky
But
duck.
that book is an amazing distillation of her thing.
It's incredible. I'm rereading it actually, because I didn't listen to the music as I was reading it the first time. I was like, I don't need to do that. But actually it's adding a nice layer to how I'm processing it. And then my friend just gave me this book called Deep Listening.
Cool.
It's by this composer, Pauline Oliveros,
Oh, yeah.
who like sent sounds to the moon and back or something like that.
Yes.
Don't know much about her, but I know she ended up living in Kingston, New York, which is, I'm from that area, and I found that to be inspiring as well. So
It's a beautiful area.
Her music is crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of her before. I was just like, okay, let's go. It's really meditative, and yeah, it's got some ways of just kind of being still, which I should probably do more of that, you know.
Yes. I wrote it down.
Hopping around a lot.
I need to read that.
Yeah. Got it on the Goodreads. Has that been something that they've talked about in either of those books, of just like, well, I know you said you're not gonna write, you're just gonna write the song that you're writing, something along those lines?
Yeah.
Fuck, I fucked that up so bad. But like,
Just roll it back.
I'm also thinking of like, has there been any discussion about, or any mention of like there being a raw generative process and then some sort of secondary or tertiary like editing process where you can then kind of maybe refine what was in that like original phase of just making stuff and not having those inhibitions or those judgments, or like, you know, like you said.
I think if I were to do that, I would want some space between like when I demo and when I edit. I feel like that's all I do is like I'm always editing songs, even in the moment. So for me to practice not doing that, I think is good.
Yeah.
For my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, lyrics are never anything until the very end for me. They're always like crazy, like melding of both Steven and I's mind, and then like, you know the game where you like count down and then you try and get to the same word. You keep saying a word and then you're like, where are we? Okay, we finally made it. That's kind of how I feel like I write with him and with myself. Like there's a part of me that's not always connected to what I'm like thinking versus what I'm feeling. And maybe that's just means I'm not a great writer because I can't articulate it right away.
Well, that's a challenge. Like, and I think you are, and you've made it. It feels like, to me, you've made it there on so many songs. If not all the songs you've put out.
I appreciate that. I like to get real abstract sometimes with lyrics, and it helps. It helps kind of shift the focus. Yeah, make it goopy. More of a goopy lyric. Yeah. Like, what does that mean? What the hell are you talking about? And you're like, I don't know, I was high.
It feels much more like painting or something than like you know, like writing, like a linear thing, you know.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, pulling all the it's similar to like how you're figuring out what moments and memories to pull from, or like what you're imagining versus what really happened. Yeah, it's messy, but I like it.
I'm curious about, because you're one of the few people I know who has both a lot of experience like working on films that are great. Like one of my favorites that you've edited on is Unknown Country, which came out in like 2022, I think, right?
2022.
Yeah.
I was not an editor. I was just an assistant editor on that.
Okay, sorry.
Can't claim it.
I want to roll my eyes, but no, that I don't want to get that wrong.
No, I mean, because it was edited by Tang. It was amazing. I love her. Yeah, but I've worked with her a bunch, like all of her songs and stuff. Been part of the team, so it's nice. Having
had both your brain and heart like in that kind of work in such a visual format, obviously there's sound there too. Has that influenced the ways you've either like gone about making songs or just like interacted with music? Like, has it made you more of a visual like imaginer when you're listening to songs?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. And I have always enjoyed watching film, and I think music was really introduced to me through film more than like, you know, my parents having records or CDs or anything like that. It's like watching Sister, just like a 4-year-old, and I was like, this is what music is about.
Yeah.
Girl groups.
Iconic.
You know, it was, I do think there's a pacing to it, like, yeah, watching a film and like your brain, I know there's some science to that I could not articulate to you in this moment, but of how what pieces of you are processing something, imagining how you are in any given moment. Like, I'm going on a tangent, but yes, I feel like I do write that way, and I come from a less technical side of things. Like I never really took lessons. Like I taught myself piano. As soon as Songs in A Minor by Alicia Keys came out with a book, I was like, I'm getting that book. I'm going to learn how to play this goddamn thing. It's so good. And yeah, I do like to just, I lean on my bandmates a lot for like what they can add to any song that I have. It's just like, it's pretty, rudimentary at first. So musically, I would say, yeah, pretty simple.
Well, so
But
much
I can like explain like, oh, I really want something more like this. And like,
Yeah.
they'll just be able to do it.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
like so much about being an artist is taste, and like it's not really about skill, and even sort of like the great minds of art. Like there are a lot of technicians, but there's also a lot of just great tastemakers and people who found their way because like they just do it that way,
Mhm.
and then it connected.
That's what Susan would say, for sure.
Exactly. Well, I mean, she's number one sort of non-technician, and
Right.
she does have so many engineering skills, but
Mhm.
she has zero musical skills,
Right. Can't hop on the song.
Yeah, quote musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't hop on, exactly.
Like improv has always been hard for me, musically and comedically, and I don't know how people do it. How do their brains work so fast?
You're not
Or like,
joining UCB now that you've moved to LA.
yeah, it's kind of the natural trajectory,
Of
I
course.
think. But no shade on UCB, love them, but
Mhm.
not my jam. Yeah, I imagine you both like to write this way. I mean, I know you're both very technically savvy people, but when you're
Yes
writing
and
your
no.
songs, do you think in imagery? Like, do you?
I wish I did more. I think it would be helpful in my process to like, but I've always sort of been like, I make music, I don't, and then when it gets time to like make the album cover or the like music video, I'm like, I don't know, I just made the song. And I think that's both like not necessarily giving myself enough credit all the time, but also it's just not how my brain is like working. And I've had the sort of like the distinct opportunity to work with people who do create with they'll send me like a Pinterest instead of a Spotify playlist
Yeah,
and be like
amazing.
this is the album I want to make, like how can we make it? And then I'm sort of forced to like be like, okay, yeah, like we do sonic references. It's not going to be give me the guitar petty. I mean the Tom Petty guitar acoustic guitar petty.
Guitar Petty sounds like a really great cover band.
Yeah, it's not like get me the Tom Petty acoustic guitars. It's like make it look like this. And that's such a cool way to create, but it's also like it's abstract to me.
Yeah. Well, also, I even think with like referencing Tom Petty for me is also abstract. I think it's more of a vibe than like because I love a muddy guitar, and that's not Tom Petty.
Mhm.
That's something entirely different. I don't know who that is, but the vibe of kind of just like it being more lush and like being more buried. It's something about that. I don't describe it.
Music is
But
magic.
yeah,
It really
music
is.
is magic. I don't know where the fuck it comes from. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean that is so like to me I'm feeling very inspired to hear you speak about it because it's like, I think like all art but also like music a lot of the time gets like put in this box of like, well, if I don't know the chords or if I don't have the gear, then like I'm not as good as blah blah. But like yeah, exactly. It's like that's not how painters paint.
Right.
That's not how like someone would write a book. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Totally.
it's just about like you're hearing something and you're saying like, well, I really like that. Like I think I can make use of that in my own
Yeah,
songs.
I really like that summation. But I also think like because there are people who can hear through maybe what I'm making as a demo or a rough thing that like I'm so grateful to those people and like people on the label, for example, who are just like, okay, great, yeah, you guys can go to the studio now. Like, perfect. Thanks for hearing this really rough song. Yeah. I don't know, and like producers, engineers. It's another level that I'm just like always grateful that someone can kind of translate for me what it is I'm trying to.
So I'm curious, like, do y'all self-produce? I'm imagining just because of the nature of like being in different places and like the way that you've been speaking about recording, I guess, except for the first record. So do you ever send all of it to like an external party, or is it just goes around and around until it's ready to go to the mix engineer?
Well, I should say like most of the everyone that has been our mixing engineers has also like recorded us live.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like our co-producers, and I think we could get away with like the last single doing some more of the recording on our own because we kind of knew how that Dan would like know how to get it to where it needed to be. And but yeah, we definitely are like co-producers with whoever we're working with. But we take a long time. We take a long time working on songs. That's the editor brains.
Mm-hmm.
Steven, I should say I met Steven in a post-production office. We were both working in film at the time, and he used to be an editor. So I feel like we're just we can be a little OCD about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I'll go with that.
I think it's a crucial part of the process, and it's like really well. I'm curious maybe to check in with you and hear like how that song seminar is going, because I do think like having a 3-day deadline over and over again gives you no opportunity to edit, basically.
Right.
But I do think that like in order for a song to hit like recorded standards, like there does have to be an edit. I think
sure.
like the amount of songs that are like day one voice memo that hit
Doesn't happen.
it's like a 0.01% of times. So I guess I think that it is good to be editors, and it's such a cool exercise to hear that you're like throwing yourself into the deep end with something that's like antithetical to that.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I might lose my mind a little bit, but I'm gonna have fun doing it.
Do you get to hear other people's stuff too, or you just send it to? Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
No sharing though, but I do get to listen, and I don't know who's in it. I don't know if they know who's in it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So,
do you have a sense for how large the class is?
I don't.
Wow.
I think it's a pretty big group though.
It's like a
They're
scam.
like, we're not
and
accepting
it's just
any more
you.
people. Yeah. That would be wild. Yeah. I'm worried. I am worried about like listening to other people's stuff and then getting in my head about the next song,
Yeah.
But reserve judgments for everything.
I mean, it's so cool. It's like so like we're out here alone a lot, I think, doing music, and it's cool. Obviously, Sun June, like y'all have each other to lean on, which is awesome. But I think sometimes, like as a creator, you're kind of like sitting in your room, being like, "Now what do I?" And there's not as much jamming, but like hearing what other people are doing sometimes is a nice kick in the butt to like be like, okay, yeah, I can't like this guy can do that,
Totally. And Allie's just dancing.
Allie's vibing.
I'm thinking about what you're saying, and honestly, you had me just remembering like recent jam sessions that I've had in like the last 2 months. There haven't been that many. But it has been really cool to hear what my friends are coming up with, and they're generously like, here, you could do something with this if you want. Like, here's one like sort of disparate part. But I like that. Lately, that's been something that's like really exciting to me, is just hearing like little chunks and bits and pieces from other people. So
Hell yeah.
I didn't realize I was dancing.
No, it's so sweet. You were in your jam session.
Yeah, I'm in the jam session within.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, do you have anything? We're hitting about an hour right now, so do you have anything that you want to plug, or any like exciting Sun June or Laura news that we can share?
I won't toot my own horn.
Please.
Yeah.
No, I mean nothing crazy. But in that same universe of the Unknown Country, there was a new film that we worked on called Jazzy, and that's I think gonna have its day soon. I can't necessarily say it'll be released, but I've been told maybe it will be. So you can look for that, and it's been nominated for some Spirit Awards, so that's
Wow.
exciting.
Congrats.
And thanks. Yeah.
Also, everyone should check out Unknown Country. I thought that movie was so wildly beautiful, and I did not expect to be so moved by it. I just didn't know a lot going in, but it really like stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah,
I
and
think
you get a
Carol as well.
little, yeah, you get
And
a lot of fun like sound editing. Like there's like a lot of like radio play because it's this cross country road trip.
yeah,
But it's fun. It's fun. Also a little solo Sunjun moment. So that's
So
my
cool.
first
that
on-screen acting.
yeah, that blew me away because I was just like, I had already like cried a bunch to this movie. I had to like pause it and go blow my nose, and then part of the way through, a little spoiler is I recognized somebody in it, and I was like, what?
Whoa.
So it just blew my mind. But yeah, I think it's such a cool movie, and it sort of, to me, it kind of like went between feeling almost like a documentary, like
Yes,
a hybrid of sorts. Like it feels very
for sure.
much alive, and that was such a cool thing to witness. I want to see more films like that. So I think what you're doing is great.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe more Sunjun by the end of the year. We'll see. See how fast I can work.
That's so
Because
exciting.
I got to let it rip.
Yes.
So
Well,
this was fun. Thanks for having me on your
thanks for
sweet
coming
pod.
on. It was great to get to know you and like hear what you're up to and like hear what Sunjun is up to, and also like I'm excited to. I am uneducated on your film universe, and so I'm excited to like. It's. I need a bit of a kick to like watch some good movies. So this is an exciting
Get into it.
reason to do that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It was so great to meet you and chat. Hey, Allie, is the Tall Girlfriends coming out with some music?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. It's on my to-do list to work on some today. A song that we want to come out. I think we're gonna do like a single every month, if that's not too ambitious, for the foreseeable future. So I'm glad to have a plan of any kind. I think that's gonna help. But yeah, I'm really excited, and I hope to see you soon. I know we're now on opposite coasts, but whenever you do come through to New York, let me know. We can get bagels and just kick it, because I love hanging with you.
Same, likewise. Yay. And then when you come here, y'all can show me where the bagels are, because I have no idea.
There are many.
Are there?
Bell's Bagels.
I'll need Bell's Bagels.
Bell's Bagels. Shout out Highland Park.
Okay. Wait. Yeah, I've seen this. I've walked by it.
They're now a deli too, so they have like more stuff. But the bagels are awesome.
So that's great. Good news. Thank you.
Hell
Welcome to LA. I hope that we get to hang at some point.
Yeah.
This is
Me too.
a large city, and it's hard to see people, but
yeah,
more seeing people this year.
More seeing people.
Yeah.
Got to go to more shows too.
Go to more shows. See your friends.
Let's party.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. 2025. Let it rip.
Let it rip.
Thanks, Laura.